Hi guys, it's Grace with Grace Gets Gastric, and I am here today for a plastic surgery video. And this is all about the items and the things that I used after my plastic surgery during the recovery process, generally kind of the first month to 3 months after my plastic surgery. So if that's something you're interested in watching, go ahead and stick around. So if you guys have been watching my channel, you'll know that I had plastic surgery on January 29th, 2020 in Tijuana, Mexico with Dr. Alejandro Galvez. I had a extended tummy tuck, a fleur-de-lis tummy tuck, a reverse tummy tuck, a bra line back lift with some lipo on the back, and a breast lift slash reduction. So had a lot of plastic surgery done, and I did make a video previously, which I'll link above and below, of everything that I brought with me to Mexico for my week after plastics while I was recovering. So I talked everything I brought, what I wish I would have brought, anything that I brought that I didn't actually end up using. So that's everything I used basically in the first week while I was down there. But of course, I was staying in a hotel. I had constant nurse supervision. They had a lot of things. They were helping take care of me. So this is really talking about everything that I used once I returned home from my plastic surgery. Most of this stuff was sort of the first 6 weeks, but I do talk a little bit kind of generally in the past 3 months what I have used. So I tried to sort of kind of separate it into sections, and yeah, if you're interested, we will get started. So the first section I have here is sleep. So the things that generally I needed to help with my sleep. I got a medical recliner. I had that with me for the first month after plastic surgery, and it was very, very helpful. I really recommend it. It was the kind that can go all the way back and that can sit you, can basically stand you up. So it was really useful for me. I think that I didn't need it, and I could have gotten myself up from sitting to standing, but I slept in that recliner for the first 4 weeks, and I was very glad to have it. I think I could have gotten away with not having it, but I would have needed a wedge pillow. I would say actually after that first month when I started sleeping in my bed again, I still needed a wedge pillow. I ended up not buying one, but I made one with a bunch of extra pillows. So if you don't have a wedge pillow, you can kind of make one. I would definitely say though, if you're not going to have a medical recliner at all, I would spend the money on the wedge pillow personally, because I do think that it was very helpful, and trying to lie flat down with everything I had was just not comfortable. Additionally, I did buy a tailbone pillow, and that was a lifesaver. That was something I could not have done without. I wish I would have brought one with me to Mexico. I ended up kind of making a faux one with pillows and stuff, but the one I bought was so much more comfortable. And by the way, I'm going to link everything that I can that I bought online in the description box down below, so you can see exactly what I used. But the one I got, I really love. Definitely would recommend tailbone pillow. And then the other two items are medication. So melatonin I did use for probably the first month or so to help. I don't normally use melatonin, but it did help me, I think, in terms of being able to fall asleep. Sorry, my bags are driving me crazy. So I mean, I would recommend it if you want. I don't know how much it helped, but I was using it and it seemed to help me. And then muscle relaxers. So I was able to get some muscle relaxers when I was down in Mexico, and did definitely take them for the first few weeks after plastic surgery. It just helps, I think, with the relaxation and, you know, minimize some of the muscle spasming and pain. So I found that very helpful, again, for helping me fall to sleep. Next, we have the wear category, as in like clothing type category. So the first thing I would say is a front clasp sports bra was key. I would say get at least 2 so that you can wash them. I would say if you either got your breast done or if you got your back or your arms done, you'll definitely want a front clasp. If you're only getting like a lower tummy tuck, then you can probably just wear a regular bra. But if you're having any upper body work at all, this kind of movement, not possible. So a bra that you can slide on easily and then, you know, clasp here without having to move your arms at all was very key. So I used it because I did have a breast lift and reduction, and I am hoping to have a second round where I do my arms, and I believe it will still be necessary then, because again, I won't be able to move my arms as much to do a back clasp. I would also say compression socks are very key for the first few weeks. I would again say get at least 2. Personally, I would say 3 or 4 is probably better because socks can get a little gross. But I found them so much more comfortable than the ones that they provided. The doctors did provide compression socks there. And I did wear them probably for the first 2 or 3 weeks. I might have worn them a little bit longer than you need to, but I have better safe than sorry. And I wanted that extra compression on my legs. It's safer, and I am cold all the time. So they were long, warm socks, so I liked those. I would also say for me, a stage 2 faja was very necessary. The faja with my surgeon was included the first stage 1. Stage 1 is a slightly more stretchy material because you are so fresh off the table and there is a lot more swelling. Stage 2 is made out of a stiffer material, and once you get a week or 2 out, you graduate onto the stage 2. I definitely found by the second week my first stage 1 faja was far too loose. It was on the tightest setting, and I still had a lot of space. And I didn't feel like it was really giving me a lot of compression. So I got a stage 2. I loved it. And one thing that kind of goes along with both of those is lipofoam. So while I was waiting for my stage 2 faja to arrive, I had lipofoam that I used to pad the stage 1 faja to give it a little bit of extra compression. I've even used it in my stage 2 faja because now that I'm farther out, my stage 2 I can actually button all the way. So if I needed a little extra compression, I would add in a bit of lipofoam underneath it. And then I was also using the lipofoam with my stage 2 faja on the crotch opening because it was kind of digging into my mons and my thighs and it was not super comfortable. So I would just put a piece of lipofoam in that opening, kind of tuck it underneath, and that was the most comfortable way to wear it. So definitely would recommend lipofoam. And then finally, I would recommend a drain holder. Mine was essentially provided by my surgeon, but it basically just looks sort of like a fanny pack so you can clip it around your waist and hold your drains. I had 5 drains. I came home with all 5 of them, and I think my last drain came out right before the end of week 4. So, I had drains for a while, and having something to hold them so that they don't pull and fall is very key, in my opinion. Then we get to showering, which is a whole process, especially if you've had as much surgery done as I did. I would say a shower chair for me was absolutely necessary. I am lucky enough that my shower actually has a seat built in, so I didn't need to buy one. But if you do not have some way to sit in your shower, I would really recommend getting a shower chair. I do think that they are very necessary. I was not able to stand in the shower for any length of time until probably 2.5 weeks out. I was still sitting the whole time. And I didn't have leg work done either. So, I mean, especially if you had anything else done like that, but a shower chair definitely was key. I also would really recommend one of those extendable shower heads. I happened to have already had one. I've always liked them, but the kind where you can detach from the top and bring down is super helpful, especially if you aren't having a lot of help. For me, I was able at a week post-op to shower myself, but I would sit on my shower chair and then, just do the shower with my head. If I hadn't had, because of where my seat is, it's built in, I can't move it. So if I had my own seat, then it wouldn't have been as big of a deal to have an extendable because I could have just moved the seat to be right under the spray, but I didn't have one. And I did just find it a little bit easier to be able to kind of maneuver and make sure I was really washing my incisions and everything. I would also say a lanyard and a carabiner clip are super key for showering at the beginning to hold your drains. So you would just have the lanyard around and then you would hook the drains into the carabiner clip. If you've watched my past plastics videos, I show you what I'm talking about in those. I don't know which one, you'll just have to watch them. But that was really necessary. I used that until I no longer had drains. So just a way to hold them so you're not trying to juggle 5 different drains while you're showering. Of course, you're gonna want your normal, soap, water, obviously in the shower, shampoo, conditioner. You want kind of you don't want stringent soap, but just kind of like a regular dial soap is great. And I use like a loofah just to make sure you're kind of exfoliating. And then you will want a hair dryer to be able to dry your incisions and make sure your body is dry, particularly in the beginning, because you don't want any moisture around your incisions, because that can lead to infection. So then we'll move to more of the wound care type section. So the first thing I would say is I really found the Microdacyn antibacterial spray to be really helpful. I purchased this in Mexico. I don't know if it's necessary for everyone to have it, but we used it heavily and I was really glad to have some. I brought some back with me. You will want some kind of surgical sponge or gauze, you know, kind of the stuff that you can, you know, clean wounds with, but also to tape over wounds. Medical tape, very important. If you have sensitive skin, make sure you get one that is good for sensitive skin. I would probably get a sensitive skin one next time, just because I did have some discomfort around some of the tape, particularly areas that had to be constantly taped, like around the drain sites or when I had my issue on my FDL. So sensitive skin, medical grade tape is good. You'll want gloves just to make sure that you are being very careful. You know, hands have lots of bacteria on them pretty frequently, even if you're washing them. So it was good to, I always wore gloves when I was dealing with any of my wounds, just to make extra sure that I wasn't putting any unnecessary bacteria near my incision sites. You'll want, I used foam earplugs, and I use those for my belly button. So I put, you know, a foam earplug in my belly button to kind of help give it shape. It's not super necessary for, at least for my surgeon, because he uses your already existing belly button, but I did feel better about just having something in there. I don't know why. Maxi pads came in really handy. I use those around the drain sites. You would kind of cut a hole in them, or you know, a notch in them, and then tape them. And so that helped. There was often leakage around the drain sites, so that would just prevent that from getting on any of her clothes, and also just provided them a little bit of padding so the faja didn't rub and like pull at it, because those are coming right out of your skin. And then I also use those maxi pads as just an additional cushioning for my incisions. Again, like I would put it down on my incision and then put my faja, so the faja wasn't rubbing right over the incision. Next thing I did use is arnica gel. Personally, I would not recommend this. A lot of people talk about it. They think it's great. There's been no research that really shows it's effective. I would not do this again, but I did use it. It's supposed to be good for swelling and bruising. Personally, I think that any benefits are anecdotal and probably a placebo effect, but that's just me. I did use it. I did get it. A lot of people say it works really well, so that is totally up to you. I don't think I would use it my next round. Scissors, you want to make sure you have scissors. I use both regular scissors to cut things like the maxi pads, the tape, etc. And then I also used small cuticle scissors and tweezers, and those were helpful for removing the stitches in my belly button and around the drain sites. I did use some Mupirocin and any kind of antibiotic gel. I used that on some of when my drains came out and a couple of the wounds that healed from, you know, that opened up from popping stitches. So I used that. And then Band-Aids were helpful. I mostly used gauze with medical tape in terms of taping over incisions, but for some of the small areas, I did use small Band-Aids. So good to have those on hand. I would say I would recommend having some rubbing alcohol or any of those like rubbing alcohol wipes. I specifically use this for blood thinner shots, so I was sent home with a couple of shots I needed to give myself for blood thinning, and that was just to make sure you are disinfecting the skin before stabbing yourself with a shot. Hand sanitizer, I definitely used a lot of that. I also would say, and then for kind of post wound care, vitamin E oil. I used that when my scars were, or when my incisions were kind of, there was still some scabs on them, so they weren't entirely healed. That would just help kind of keep them moist, because you don't want your scars to dry out, because that can lead to raising and a darker color. So that would just help keep them moisturized and would help kind of soften the scabs until I could use this silicone scar strip. So those are what are shown to be the most effective in terms of scar care in lightening and thinning the scars. And you want to make sure that your scars are completely, or sorry, your incisions are completely closed. There is no openings, there are no scabs. Then it is safe to use the scar strips. So those are what I used. And then we have kind of this just miscellaneous section. So I would say I really found helpful a milliliter cup that measures in very small amounts, like 5 milliliters at least, 5 to 25, I would say. And this was helpful for drain care. So you would want to make sure that you are emptying your drains at least once a day and measuring the total output. And we were allowed to remove our drains when we had less than a certain drainage amount 2 days in a row. And so you want to make sure it's on the really low scale, because you'll get to a point where, for example, my upper body drains, it was less than 10 milliliters a day, 2 days in a row. And a lot of things start at like 25 milliliters. So it was hard to see at what point it was at 10. So I found finding like a cup that would measure in very small amounts of milliliters very helpful. Chapstick. You'll definitely want to make sure chapstick, you have that on hand. You will get very dry. So not just your lips, but also your body. So I would make sure that you have lotion. Unscented lotion is definitely preferred, especially if you're going to be using it near your incisions. You shouldn't be putting lotion on your incisions directly until they are completely healed. But if you're going to be, massaging or putting lotion on your skin near the incisions, which is generally what is going to be very dry, you want to make sure it is kind of unscented so it doesn't end up irritating them if it does get on them. And then back scratcher. I did use my back scratcher, moving again, my back, you can't do this movement. So a back scratcher was very helpful for those itches, and you will be itching. Benadryl is super key. I don't know how much it really helped. It didn't feel like it was helping a ton, but maybe my itching would have been even worse if I had not had it. So Benadryl was really helpful for trying to bring down the itch. I did have a grabber tool. I did not use this a ton, but I did use it a little bit. And I think it will be even more helpful if you have arms done to be able to grab things, or if you have your legs done and you can't bend. So I was able to kind of squat down and grab things off the floor, and everything else was kind of at arm level, so it wasn't too much for me. And then I would also say an extra long phone cord or any kind of electronics extension cord will be helpful, so that you do not have to be bending and reaching to grab things. You want to make sure that anything that you're plugging in is really easily accessible to you without you having to exert a lot of effort. And so I found extension cords, long phone cords were very helpful. And then the last things are not really things, they are more intangible setup stuff I would mention, but something I found very helpful for me in my recovery was having meal prepped. I did a lot of meal prep ahead of time for delicious meals that I knew that I loved and that I would be excited to eat, but that were also macro friendly. And I think having those prepared, pre-portioned, available, really easy for me to just grab, put in the microwave, helped me immensely. I would not have had the energy to cook, and it was a money saver, a time saver, and I knew I was eating things that I loved that were delicious, but also fit well with my macros. And then I would also have protein things on hand. So protein shakes, protein bars, that kind of thing, because you are going to want to up your protein post-op to really aid in the healing. The more you want to have that high protein diet to make sure that you are properly nutritioned as you try to heal. I would also say having things to do while you're at home recovering is really key. You really want to make sure that you are planning for this and that you have the proper support system and help in place so that you can really be sitting and resting. I know it's not fun all the time. I know sometimes you get bored, you get frustrated, you want to do stuff, but if you want the best results possible, you will be sitting on your ass for at least 4 weeks after your recovery. Just point blank, that's the truth. So make sure you have stuff to do to keep you occupied. I played a lot of Sims. I did a lot of reading. I watched TV. I did some writing, did some adult coloring books, art, knitting, whatever it is that you enjoy that you can do while sitting or lying down. This is the time to do it. And this is a time for you to be able to take a break from being productive. And there is no guilt associated with it, because you need, in order to be successful, you are being told to just relax. So take advantage of that. And then to go along with that, help. Make sure that, like I said, I was able to, at 1 week post-op to essentially care for myself, but there were still some things that I had people do for me. Going out and buying me groceries, getting stuff down for me, all of that. I think if I had my arms and or my legs done, I would have needed a lot more help. I don't think I could have showered myself at 1 week post-op if I had my arms done. And I had people in place to come and help me if I needed it. If you have family, if you have kids, make sure that you're talking to your partner, your significant other, your parents, your sister and brother, people to help you care for your responsibilities. Don't brush this off as something that you'll be able to get back to your real life in 1 week. You won't be. And if you try to, you could really hurt yourself and you could mess up your results. And then you just spent all this time and money and pain for results that you're not going to be thrilled with. So make sure that you really do take this seriously, that you take recovery seriously, and that you plan accordingly, that you enlist the people in your life to help you. And make arrangements so that you are able to really take advantage of this recovery process. All right, you guys, I think that is pretty much everything. I talked a lot about all of the items and the things that really helped me in my recovery process after plastic surgery. I don't think I forgot anything, but who knows? If you have any questions, you can leave them down below. If you have any questions about specific items that were not useful. And like I said, I will link everything that I mentioned today that I did buy online. I will link those down below so that you can see what I bought. And yeah. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Thanks for being here, and I hope you all are doing well, and I'll talk to y'all very soon.